Good afternoon, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to the Mesa City Council study session for the afternoon of March 21st. All of our council is present. The first item on our agenda for this meeting is to review the agenda for tonight's regular council meeting. So, council, if you could please refer to that document. Is there anything, I know we went over this on Thursday, but is there anything, any additional information you'd like on any items on the agenda for tonight? I think we currently have one blue card for a zoning matter, but we've also heard that they might be withdrawing their blue card, so that's agenda item 8A and B. So we've reached out to the speaker to see if they still intend on appearing, and if we can confirm that they're not, then that will remain on the agenda, consent agenda. So Kevin, I think just kind of stay tuned. We'll let you know if 8A and B is going to be on or off the consent agenda, depending on whether or not we hear from the neighborhood there.
Councilor Luna, do you want Nana to say anything about the long vote proposal, just kind of where we're at, or what's your thought?
Yes, maybe Lana can come up and talk about 6A.
They just briefly give
Just,
an overview.
yeah. We'll just leave it on consent unless somebody pulls up a blue card today.
This is agenda item 6A, right?
Yes,
Correct.
sorry.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Mayor, Council, after the Planning and Zoning Board meeting, we've been able to meet on several occasions with the surrounding neighbors and the developer as well. And through those conversations and discussions, there's been certain changes to the site plan and also conditions of approval being added on from the Planning and Zoning Board meeting. So I'm going to just go through to the changes that have been made after the P&Z. So you're looking at the site plan. This site plan showed these two buildings here. Those were 3 buildings that were proposed at the Planning and Zoning Board meeting, and after the meeting, with various meetings that we've had with the neighborhood, they've asked those buildings to be reduced from 3 stories to 2 stories because they wanted to make sure that at least it's a bit compactable, even though it's across the street. There are residential neighborhood here, so the applicant has agreed to reduce this. As part of the conversation that transpired after the Planning and Zoning Board meeting was also to put a perimeter wall fencing around the development, and I have a picture that I'm going to show. The applicant has also agreed to provide or construct a wall on the section of the property abutting Reka. During the Planning and Zoning request, the applicant was asking for parking reduction from 1.85, and one of the justification was this is all being developed under one ownership, and also based on the previous projects they've done in various areas in the metro area and the city, they believe that 1.85 was adequate. However, as a result of our meetings with the applicant, by reducing this the height of these buildings, has reduced or increased the parking ratio now to 1.95. In addition, one of the conditions of approval is for them to have a shared parking agreement with the retail space because they are going to be developing all this. So at the end of the day, if there is no parking, then they can park at the retail space. What that also does is it's going to prevent the retail or the retailers from putting up these specific signs that the parking is very specific or restricted to the specific retail. So this is the wall, kind of the proposed wall, and that shows, 3 feet, and then the additional 3 is kind of view fencing, wrought iron, that is well-decorated fence. One of the discussions we also had with the neighborhood was the building elevations, especially for the multifamily. They requested to see the final building elevations. These elevations went to the design review board for study section in October, and the board recommended changes to the elevations. A couple of changes the board recommended was the board really liked or believed that the commercial design met our design standard, and they wanted the applicant, or recommended to the applicant, which basically have to make those changes to the planning division for final approval, is to incorporate some of the design elements, so incorporate a little bit of the roof pitches to the multifamily, bring some of the specific building materials that will increase the quality of the multifamily. So based on that, we continue to talk to the neighborhood or discuss with the neighborhood and the developer as well. And this is really the summary of the changes that has happened or transpired after the P&Z and various meetings with the neighbors and the developer. There is a condition requiring a shared parking agreement. There is also a condition that requires a good neighbor policy, and the intent of the good neighbor policy was to prohibit antennas, satellite dishes, and basically storage of, unpleasant materials at the balconies, especially on those facing Reka. So the applicant is preparing and will be giving us a good neighbor policy before you take action. And then also, as I was saying, revise the elevations to incorporate all the changes that were recommended by the design review board before the council takes action. So you will see that as part of your final packet. And then there was also a major discussion. If you look at the site plan, the neighbors had concerns with a drive-through on Reka, but if you look at the site plan, there is no drive-through that is actually being proposed on Reka, and we did confirm that with the planner and then the developer as well. So based on that discussion, the neighbors wanted a condition to prohibit drive-through on the property, but their main concern was drive-throughs along Reka because of some of the issues or complaints that they've basically had. So there is a condition as part of the summary that any additional drive-throughs will be considered major site plan modifications. So looking at the site plan, if they basically want to bring any drive-through along Reka, that will be a major site plan modification that will come to through the planning and zoning and to city council review. So basically, those are the changes that we are adding.
But on that last point, it would allow for them on Longbow?
Yes, we will allow for them.
Just to be clear, we're not
Yeah.
just limiting them off of Recker, but I don't want to sound like no drive-throughs, it's just the ones facing Recker, so,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
Council, I think, and Councilman, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the proposal is to move forward with the introduction today.
Right.
And what we've talked to the applicant about is there's still some work for them to do to produce some of these documents and illustrations, but they'll be working on those, and we'll need to have those in hand before we bring this back to council. Right now, we're scheduled to come back on April 4th.
That's
So
correct.
we'll set that date, and then we'll see if we get all this information.
Yeah, that's correct.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Nana. Of course, everybody wants sit-down restaurants in the area, so I'm sure I'm not the only one on council that wants that. So whatever we can do to do that, that would be awesome. So,
Yeah.
great. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so that's 6A, and so far it's, again, this is just for introduction, and the hearing is on April 4th, so hopefully the neighbors understand that, but right now we don't have anybody pulling that off consent. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Nana, thanks, Mr. Luna, for all the meetings you've had with the neighbors and the developer. That's great progress. Council, any other questions on tonight's agenda? Mr. Brady, anything else that staff would like us to know about tonight?
Not on this agenda, Mayor, not that I'm aware of, just a reminder to the council. I know I keep saying this, it's just because it's different about the audit that we'll have. Is our auditor here today? Oh, it's front row, wow, hi. I was looking at Irma. So she's here to make a presentation later this evening, so.
Great, thank you. So that's the only item off the consent, is we'll hear about the audit. All right, well then, the next item on our agenda for this meeting is item 2A. That's to acknowledge receipt of minutes. Is there a motion to that effect? Thank you, Ms. Duff and Ms. Spilsbury. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, that passes unanimously. Next item on our agenda is meetings and conferences attended. Council, Mr. Luna.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. This Saturday, the Red Mountain Library hosted the Spring Equinox Celebration. It was held in the Monarch Haven, of course, Butterflies, and Reading Sanctuary. This was a family-friendly event that featured crafts, a human sundial, exhibits from the Monarch Exhibit Study. And it's a great event over at the Red Mountain Library. Also, I attended a few of the spring training games with some of my colleagues. It was a lot of fun. And it's great to have spring training games here in the city of Mesa again. And also, I wanted to invite the community, if it's okay, Mayor, on Wednesday, March 23rd, from 8 to 10 at Hava Java's located on Power and McDonald. We are going to have coffee with a cop. And that's always a lot of fun. So if you live in District 5 or anywhere, come on over on McDowell and Power at Hava Java and have coffee. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you. Anyone else? I know on Saturday, I was at the South Pacific Island Festival in downtown Mesa with Councilmember Spilsbury and Vice Mayor Duff. That was a great event. I love how, McDonald Street has turned into a great place for festivals. And so this was, again, just another, we have wonderful, we're going to talk about Dia de los Muertos upstairs a little bit, and we've had wonderful Asian festivals and African American History Month, and it was just a lot of fun to see a very strong South Pacific Island community come out in Mesa and have that event. And the food was great and the culture was great, and just fun to see that, one more culture and community in the city that we were celebrating. So hopefully that will continue to be an ongoing event, but that was this Saturday, or this last Saturday. Anything else? Yes, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, it's been a busy weekend, I think, for all of us. Starting back to last Thursday, I attended the We Run Mesa Spring Session kickoff with the kids at Eagles Park, and we had a great fun. I actually wore my tennis shoes, and I was out there with them, and it's actually lots of fun. I wish exercising could be as much fun. Can I join the kids club? I also, Councilmember Heredia and I went out to do a tour at Source Global HQ, and he could probably tell about it easier, but they convert through condensation from hot, and they have these solar cells, and they convert from hot into cool, and somehow creating condensation, collect that condensation, and it's a very high-grade drinking water that is sold, and they enter in 52 countries around the world, providing water in areas where water is not a source, including the Navajo, the tribal nations, and doing some work up there. So that was really fascinating. That night, I went to the grand opening of the Roosevelt Dam feature at Papago Park. Beautiful area, if you ever go by, is near Tempe Town Lake. Also, the Mesa Urban Garden had the Luna Lena celebration, celebrating 10 years of the Mesa Urban Garden, which is on 2nd Avenue and Hibbert. It's beautiful. If you ever have a chance to stop by, the garden has grown in so many ways over the last 10 years, and it's a beautiful place. Of course, we had lots of spring training events kicking off the season. The mayor was out at the Cubs and the A's doing the first pitch, and he made Mesa look good. So I'm excited to see the spring training games going on for our community. And I think that's, Saturday evening was the Arizona Forward Environmental Excellence Awards Gala. The city was nominated for a couple of ones. One is Water Equals Life, and yes, you were there, and Councilmember Spilsbury was there. We were nominated, but I don't think we actually. We did not win. Water Equals Life and something else. But anyway, it focuses on sustainable efforts that are done across the valley and recognize those projects that were outstanding. I think that's about it.
Great, thank you.
Oh, Chicago Fest West was in
Oh, yeah.
downtown Mesa as well.
Yeah.
At the same time, in the afternoon of the South Pacific Island Festival. And that is a fundraiser for College Bound, which raises funds for sending kids to college that wouldn't necessarily have the funds to do that. It was a huge event at the convention center, using the grounds of the band and stages and all kinds of vendors and city, the PD, I think was represented, and I know the hydration station, a number of things. It was well-attended and a great event. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Mr. Freeman?
Yeah, thanks. So on the Arizona Forward in Excellence Environmental Awards, the Mesa Arts Center put in an application for Water and Life, and that was well received, but it didn't win the award. But Councilmember Spilsbury and I, at the end of the gala, we thought we have a lot of awards that we could apply with for our city. So staff, be ready, because we've got a lot of things that we can ask. In fact, the Innovation Center, ASU, the renovation of the old Mesa Library. So those are some of the things that we considered, right?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Okay, thanks.
Great. Council, anything else you'd like to share with us? Okay, thank you. Well then, Mr. Brady, what does our schedule of future meetings look like?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a reminder, we will have a study session this Thursday, March 24th, and it will be followed by an Audit, Finance, and Enterprise Committee meeting. Thank you.
All right. We've changed the name of the Audit and Finance Committee?
We just don't always say the enterprise part of it, yeah.
Great, oh, glad I came and learned, have a new name, or an old name. Well, that concludes everything on our agenda for this meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Mr. Loon and Mr. Thompson. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. We will reconvene at 5:45 upstairs.